Chapter 13 of the Ramayana. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Ramayana by Valmiki. Translated by Ralph T.H. Griffith. Book 1, Chapter 13. Canto 60. Trishanku's Ascension. So with ascetic might and ire, he smote the children and the sire. Then Vishwamitra, far renowned, addressed the saints who gathered round. See, by my side, Trishanku stand, Ishvaku's son, of liberal hand. Most virtuous and gentle, he seeks refuge in his woe with me. Now holy men with me unite, and order so his purpose right, that in the body he may rise, and win a mansion in the skies. They heard his speech with ready ear, and every bosom filled with fear of Vishwamitra wise and great, spoke each to each in brief debate. The breast of Kaushik's son, we know, with furious wrath is quick to glow. Whate'er the words he wills to say, we must, be very sure, obey. Fierce is our Lord as fire, and straight may curse us all infuriate. So let us in these rites engage, as ordered by the holy sage, and with our best endeavours strive that King Ishvaku's son alive in body to the skies may go, by his great might whose wills it so. Then was a rite begun with care, all requisites and means were there, and glorious Vishwamitra lent his willing aid as precedent. And all the sacred rites were done, by rule and use omitting none, by chaplain priest the hymns who knew, in decent form and order due. Some time in sacrifice had passed, and Vishwamitra made at last the solemn offering with prayer, that all the gods might come and share. But the immortals, one and all, refused to hear the hermit's call. Then red with rage his eyeballs blazed, the sacred ladle high he raised, and cried to King Ishvaku's son, Behold my power, my penance won. Now by the might my merits lend, Ishvaku's child, to heaven ascend. In living frame the skies attain, which mortals thus can scarcely gain. My vows austere, so long endured, have, as I ween, some fruit assured. Upon its virtue, king, rely, and in thy body reach the sky. His speech had scarcely reached its close, when as he stood, the sovereign rose, and mounted swiftly to the skies, before the wondering hermit's eyes. But Indra, when he saw the king, his blissful regions entering, with all the army of the blest, thus cried unto the unbidden guest, With thy best speed, Trishanku, flee, here is no home prepared for thee. By thy great master's curse brought low, go, falling headlong, earthward go. Thus, by the Lord of gods addressed, Trishanku fell from fancied rest, and screaming in a swift descent, Oh, save me, hermit! Down he went, and Vishwamitra heard his cry, and marked him falling from the sky, and giving all his passion sway, cried out in fury, Stay, oh stay! By penance power and holy lore, like him who framed the worlds of yore. 7 other saints he fixed on high, to star with light the southern sky. Girt with the sages forth he went, and southward in the firmament new wreathed stars prepared to set in many a sparkling coronet. He threatened, blind with rage and hate, another Indra to create, or from his throne the ruler hurled all Indraless to leave the world. Yea, borne away by passion's storm, the sage began new gods to form. But then each Titan, god and saint, confused with terror, sick and faint, to high-souled Vishwamitra hied, and with soft words to soothe him tried. Lord of high destiny, this king, to whom his master's curses cling, no heavenly home deserves to gain, unpurified from curse and stain. The son of Kaushik, undeterred, the pleading of the immortals heard, and thus in haughty words expressed the changeless purpose of his breast. Content, ye gods, I soothly swear, Trishanku to the skies to bear, clothed in his body, nor can I my promise cancel or deny. Embodied let the king ascend to life in heaven that never shall end, and let these new-made stars of mine firm and secure forever shine. Let these my work remain secure long as the earth and heaven endure. This, all you gods, I crave. Do you allow the boon for which I sue? Then all the gods their answer made, So be it, saint, as thou hast prayed. Beyond the sun's diurnal way, thy countless stars in heaven shall stay, and mid them hung, as one divine, head downward shall Trishanku shine, and all thy stars shall ever fling their rays attendant on the king. The mighty saint with glory crowned, with all the sages compassed around, praised by the gods, gave full assent, and gods and sages homeward went. Canto 61. Sunashipa. Then Vishwamitra, when the blest had sought their homes of heavenly rest, thus, mighty prince, his counsel laid before the dwellers of the shade. The southern land, where now we are, offers this check our rights to bar. To other regions let us speed, and ply our tasks from trouble freed. Now turn we to the distant west, to Pushkar's wood where hermits rest, and there to rites austere apply, for not a grove with that can vie. The saint in glory's light arrayed, in Pushkar's wood his dwelling made, and living there on roots and fruit, did penance stern and resolute. The king who filled Ayodhya's throne, by Ambarisha's name far known, at that same time it chanced, began a sacrificial rite to plan. But Indra took by force away the charger that the king would slay. The victim lost, the Brahman sped to Ambarisha's side and said, Gone is the steed, O king, and this is due to thee, in care remiss. Such heedless faults will kings destroy, who fail to guard what they enjoy. The flaw is desperate, we need the charger, or a man to bleed. Quick, bring a man, if not the horse, that so the right may have its course. The glory of Ishvaku's line made offer of 1,000 kine, and sought to buy at lordly price a victim for the sacrifice. To many a distant land he drove, to many a people, town and grove, and holy shades where hermits rest, pursuing still his eager quest. At length, on Bhrigu's sacred height, the saint Richika met his sight, sitting beneath the holy boughs, his children near him, and his spouse. The mighty lord drew near, essayed to win his grace, and reverence paid. And then the sainted king addressed the Brahman saint with his request. Bought with 100,000 kine, give me, O sage, a son of thine, to be a victim in the rite, and thanks the favour shall requite. For I have roamed all countries round, nor sacrificial victim found. Then, gentle hermit, deign to spare one child amid the number there. Then to the monarch's speech replied the hermit, penance glorified. For countless kine, for hills of gold, mine eldest shall ne'er be sold. But when she heard the saint's reply, the children's mother standing nigh, words such as these in answer said to Ambarisha, monarch dread. My lord, the saint has spoken well, his eldest he will not sell. And know, great monarch, that above the rest my youngest born I love. 'Tis ever thus, the father's joy is centred in his eldest boy. The mother loves the darling best, whom last she wreaked upon her breast. My youngest I will never forsake. And thus the sire and mother spake. Young Sunashipa of the three, the midmost, cried unurged and free. My sire withholds his eldest son, my mother keeps her youngest one. Then take me with thee, king, I ween the son is sold who comes between. The king with joy his home resought, and took the prize his kine had bought. He bade the youth his car ascend, and hastened back the rites to end. Canto 62. Ambaresha's Sacrifice. As thus the king that youth conveyed, his weary steeds at length he stayed, at height of noon their rest to take, upon the bank of Pushkar's lake. There, while the king enjoyed repose, the captive Sunarshepa rose, and hastening to the water's side, his uncle Vishwamitra spied, with many a hermit 'neath the trees, engaged in stern austerities. Distracted with the toil and thirst, with woeful mien away he burst. Swift to the hermit's breast he flew, and weeping thus began to sue. No sire n'ave I, no mother dear, no kith nor kin my heart to cheer. As justice bids, O hermit, deign to save me from the threatened pain. O thou to whom the wretched flee, and find a Saviour, saint, in thee, now let the king obtain his will, and me my length of days fulfil, that rites austere I too may share, may rise to heaven and rest me there. With tender soul and gentle brow, be guardian of the orphan thou, and as a father pities, so preserve me from my fear and woe. When Vishwamitra, glorious saint, had heard the boy's heart-rending plaint, he soothed his grief, his tears he dried. Then called his sons to him, and cried, "The time is come for you to show the duty and the aid bestow, for which, regarding future life, a man gives children to his wife. This hermit's son, whom here you see, a suppliant refuge seeks with me. O sons, the friendless youth befriend, and pleasing me his life defend. For holy works you all have wrought, true to the virtuous life I taught. Go, and as victims doomed to bleed, die and Lord Agni's hunger feed. So shall the rite completed end. This orphan gain a saving friend. Due offerings to the gods be paid, and your own father's voice obeyed." Then Madhusyan and all the rest answered their sire with scorn and jest. "What! Aid to others' sons afford, and leave thine own to die, my lord? To us it seems a horrid deed, as it were on one's own flesh to feed." The hermit heard his son's reply, and burning rage inflamed his eye. Then forth his words of fury burst: "Audacious speech by virtue cursed! It lifts on end such shuddering hair, my charge to scorn, my wrath to dare. You, like Vasishta's evil brood, shall make the flesh of dogs your food, 1,000 years and many a birth, and punished thus shall dwell on earth." Thus on his sons his curse he laid, then calmed again that youth dismayed, and blessed him with his saving aid. When in the sacred fetters bound, and with the purple garland crowned, at Vishnu's post thou standest tied, would Lords be Agni glorified. And these 2 hymns of holy praise forget not, hermit son, to raise in the king's right, and thou shalt be, lord of thy wish, preserved and free. He learnt the hymns with mind intent, and from the hermit's presence went. To Ambarisha thus he spake: "Let us our onward journey take. Haste to thy home, O king, nor stay the lustral rites with slow delay." The boy's address the monarch cheered, and soon the sacred ground he neared. The convocation's high decree declared the youth from blemish free. Clothed in red raiment he was tied, a victim at the pillar's side. There, bound, the fire god's hymn he raised, and Indra and Upendra praised. 1,000-eyed Vishnu, pleased to hear the mystic lord, inclined his ear, and won by worship, swift to save, long life to Sunarshepa gave. The king in bounty measure gained the fruit of sacrifice ordained, by grace of him who rules the skies, Lord Indra of the 1,000 eyes. And Vishwamitra evermore pursued his task on Pushkar's throne, until 1,000 years had passed in fierce austerity and fast. Canto 63. Menaka. 1,000 years had thus flown by, when all the gods within the sky eager that he the fruit might gain of fervent rite and holy pain, approached the great ascetic, now bathed all toil and ended vow. Then Brahma, speaking for the rest, with sweetest words the sage addressed: "Hail, saint! This high and holy name thy rites have won, thy merits claim." Thus spoke the Lord whom gods revere, and sought again his heavenly sphere. But Vishwamitra, more intent, his mind to sterner penance bent. So many a season rolled away, when Menaka, fair nymph, one day came down from paradise to lave her perfect limbs in Pushkar's wave. The glorious son of Kushik saw that peerless shape without a flaw, flashed through the flood's translucent shroud, like lightning gleaming through a cloud. He saw her in that lone retreat, most beautiful from head to feet, and by Kandharpa's might subdued, he thus addressed her as he viewed: "Welcome, sweet nymph, O deign, I pray, in these calm shades a while to stay. To me some gracious favour show, for love has set my breast aglow." He spoke. The fairest of the fair made for a while her dwelling there, while day by day the wild delight stayed vow austere and fervent rite. There as the winsome charmer wove her spells around him in the grove, and bound him in a golden chain. 5 sweet years fled, and 5 again. Then Vishwamitra woke to shame, and fraught with anguish memory came, for quick he knew, with anger fired, that all the immortals had conspired to lap his careless soul in ease, and mar his long austerities. 10 years have passed, each day and night, unheeded in delusive flight. So long my fervent rites were stayed, while thus I lay by love betrayed. And thus long sighs the hermit heaved, and touched with deep repentance grieved. He saw the fair one standing nigh, with suppliant hands and trembling eye. With gentle words he bade her go, then sought the northern hills of snow. With firm resolve he vowed to beat the might of love beneath his feet. Still northward to the distant side of Kaushikis the hermit hied, and gave his life to penance there, with rites austere, most hard to bear. 1,000 years went by, and still he labored on the northern hill, with pains so terrible and rare, that all the gods were chilled with fear. And gods and saints for swift advice met in the halls of paradise. "Let Kushik's son," they counselled, "be a mighty saint by just decree." His ear to hear their counsel lent the sire of worlds omnipotent. To him, enriched by rites severe, he spoke in accents sweet to hear: "Hail, mighty saint, dear son, all hail! Thy favour wins, thy toils prevail, won by thy vows and zeal intense. I give this high preeminence." He to the general sire replied, not sad nor wholly satisfied: "When thou, O Brahma, shalt declare the title, great beyond compare, of Brahman saint my worthy meed, hard earned by many a holy deed, then may I deem in sooth I hold each sense of body well controlled." Then Brahma cried, "Not yet, not yet! Toil on a while, O anchorite." Thus having said, to heaven he went. The saint, upon his task intent, began his labours to renew, which sterner yet and fiercer grew. His arms upraised without a rest, with but one foot the earth he pressed. The air his food, the hermit stood, still as a pillar hewn from wood. Around him, in the summer days, 5 mighty fires combined to blaze. In floods of rain no veil was spread, save clouds to canopy his head. In the dank dews both night and day, couched in the stream the hermit lay. Thus, till 1,000 years had fled, he plied his task of penance dread. Then Vishnu and the gods, with awe, the labours of the hermit saw, and Sakra, in his troubled breast, Lord of the skies, his fear confessed, and brooded on a plan to spoil the merits of the hermit's toil. Encompassed by his gods of storm, he summoned Ramba, fair of form, and spoke a speech for woe and weal, the saint to mar, the god to heal. Canto 64. Ramba. A great emprise, O lovely maid, to save the gods awaits thine aid, to bind the son of Kaushik sure, and take his soul with love's sweet lure. Thus ordered by the thousand-eyed, the suppliant nymph in fear replied, O Lord of gods, this mighty sage is very fierce and swift to rage. I doubt not he so dread and stern on me his scorching wrath will turn. Of this, my lord, am I afraid. Have mercy on a timid maid. Her suppliant hands began to shake, when thus again Lord Indra spake, O Ramba, drive their fears away, and as I bid, do thou obey. In Koil's form, who takes the heart when trees in spring to blossom start, I, with Kandarpa for my friend, close to thy side mine aid will lend. Do thou thy beauteous splendor arm with every grace and winsome charm, and from his awful rites seduce this Kaushik's son, the stern recluse. Lord Indra ceased. The nymph obeyed. In all her loveliest charms arrayed, with winning ways and witching smile, she sought the hermit to beguile. The sweet note of that tuneful bird the saint with ravished bosom heard, and on his heart a rapture passed, as on the nymph a look he cast. But when he heard the bird prolong his sweet incomparable song, and saw the nymph with winning smile, the hermit's heart perceived the while. And straight he knew that thousand-eyed a plot against his peace had tried. Then Kaushik's son indignant laid his curse upon the heavenly maid. Because thou wouldst my soul engage, who fight to conquer love and rage? Stand till 10,000 years are flown, ill-fated maid, transformed to stone. A Brahman then, in glory strong, mighty through penance stern and long, shall free thee from thine altered shape. Thou from my curse shalt then escape. But when the saint had cursed her so, his breast was burnt with fires of woe. Grief that long effort to restrain his mighty wrath was all in vain. Cursed by the angry sage's power, she stood in stone that selfsame hour. Kandarpa heard the words he said, and quickly from his presence fled. His fall beneath his passion's sway had reft the hermit's meed away. Unconquered, yet his secret foes the humble saint refused repose. No more shall rage my bosom till sealed be my lips, my tongue be still. My very breath henceforth I hold, until 1,000 years are told. Victorious o'er each erring sense, I'll dry my frame with abstinence, until by penance duly done, a Brahman's rank be bought and won. Countless yearn, as still as death. I taste no food, I draw no breath, and as I toil my frame shall stand, unharmed by time's destroying hand. Canto 65. Vishwamitra's Triumph. Then from Himalaya's heights of snow the glorious saint prepared to go, and dwelling in the distant east, his penance and his toil increased. 1,000 years his lips he held, closed by a vow unparalleled, and other marvels passing thought, unrivalled in the world he wrought. In all the 1,000 years his frame dry as a log of wood became. By many a cross and check beset, rage had not stormed his bosom yet. With iron will that naught could bend, he plied his labor till the end. So when the weary years were over, freed from his vow so stern and sore, the hermit, all his penance sped, sate down to eat his meal of bread. Then Indra, clad in Brahman guise, asked him for food with hungry eyes. The mighty saint, with steadfast soul, to the false Brahman gave the whole. And when no scrap for him remained, fasting and faint, from speech refrained. His silent vow he would not break, no breath he heaved, no word he spake. Then as he checked his breath, behold, around his brow thick smoke clouds rolled, and the three worlds, as if o'erspread with ravening flames, were filled with dread. Then god and saint and bard convened, and Naga lord and snake and fiend thus to the general father cried, distracted, sad, and terrified. Against the hermit sore assailed, lure, scathe, and scorn have not availed. Proof against rage and treacherous art, he keeps his vow with constant heart. Now if his toils assist him not to gain the boon his soul has sought, he through the worlds will ruin send, that fixed in moving things shall end. The regions now are dark with doom, no friendly ray relieves the gloom. Each ocean foams with maddened tide, the shrinking hills in fear subside. Trembles the earth with fervorous throe, the wind in fitful tempest blows. No cure we see with troubled eyes, an atheist brood on earth may rise. The triple world is wild with care, or spiritless in dull despair. Before that saint the sun is dim, his blessed light eclipsed by him. Now ere the saint resolved to bring destruction on each living thing, let us appease, while yet we may, him bright as fire, like fire to slay. Yea, as the fiery flood of fate lays all creation desolate, he o'er the conquered gods may reign, or grant him what he longs to gain. Then all the blessed, by Brahma led, approached the saint and sweetly said, Hail, Brahman saint, for such thy place, thy vows austere have won our grace. A Brahman's rank thy penance stern, and ceaseless labour richly earn. I with the gods a storm decree, long life, O Brahman saint, to thee. May peace and joy thy soul possess, go where thou wilt in happiness. Thus by the general sire addressed, joy and high triumph filled his breast. His head in adoration bowed, thus spoke he to the immortal crowd. If I, ye gods, have gained at last both length of days and Brahman caste, grant that the high mysterious name and holy Vedas own my claim, and that the formula to bless the sacrifice its Lord confess. And let Vasishtha, who excels in warrior's art and mystic spells, in love of God without appear, confirm the boon you promise here. With Brahma's son Vasishtha, best of those who pray with voice repressed, the gods by earnest prayer prevailed, and thus his new-made friend he hailed. Thy title now is sure and good, to rites of saintly Brahmanhood. Thus spake the sage. The gods' consent, back to their heavenly mansions went, and Vishwamitra, pious-souled, among the Brahman saints enrolled. On reverend Vasishtha pressed the honours due to holy guest. Successful in his high pursuit, the sage in penance resolute walked in his pilgrim wanderings over the whole broad land from shore to shore. 'Twas thus the saint, O Raghu's son, his rank among the Brahmins won. Best of all hermits prince is he, in him incarnate penance see. Friend of the right, who shrinks from ill, heroic powers attend him still. The Brahman, versed in ancient lore, thus closed his tale and said no more. To Satananda, Kushik's son, cried in delight, Well done, well done. Then Janak, at the tale amazed, spoke thus with suppliant hands upraised. High fate is mine, O sage, I deem, and thanks I owe for bliss supreme, that thou and Raghu's children too have come my sacrifice to view. To look on thee with blessed eyes exalts my soul and purifies. Yea, thus to see thee face to face enriches me with store of grace. Thy holy labours wrought of old, and mighty penance fully told, Rama and I with great delight have heard, O glorious anchorite. Unrivalled thine ascetic deeds, thy might, O saint, all might exceeds. No thought may scan, no limit bound, the virtues that in thee are found. The story of thy wondrous fate my thirsty ears can never sate. The hour of evening rites is near, the sun declines in swift career. At early dawn, O hermit, deign to let me see thy face again, best of ascetics, part in bliss, Do thou thy servant now dismiss." The saint approved, and glad and kind, dismissed the king with joyful mind. Around the sage King Janak went, with priests and kinsmen reverent. Then Vishwamitra, honored so by those high-minded, rose to go, and with the princess took his way to seek the lodging where they lay. End of chapter 13.